Friends, it is good to see you. It is September the 26th. I hope that you are enjoying the New Testament. We've waited many, many days to be here, and we are finally here, and celebrating the birth of Jesus and the King who was born to die. Wow. And enjoying these few days coming into the New Testament. And today we're taking a look at the Magi, or the wise men, who were considered a group of astrologers in this day. They were wise men. They could have been even priests in Persia. And they were very well respected in their role and what they did in the Persian society. These men traveled possibly, Persia is modern day Iran, and possibly 800 to 900 miles to see the Christ child, which is overwhelming to think about that. You know what? I really should have done something like what's 900 miles from where I live, so I could give an example of. I just know it takes me 3 hours to get to the beach, and that's about 150 miles. So it would be, and 3 hours to get to the mountains, and that's about 150 miles, maybe a little bit more than that. So maybe 160 miles, 3.5 hours. That's a long way to go see somebody, especially an infant, and an infant king of the Jews. The Jews were not highly exalted people at the time. In fact, they were dishonored and despised because they had very unique customs, very unique beliefs. They were successful and prosperous, and they were just not very well thought of. And one commentary said that they were a troublesome and conquered race. So for someone to honor an infant king, the thought of that is, and to travel that far to see them is, seems very odd and over the top. But then for it to be the King of the Jews, well, that's something that takes it to a whole nother level. Then they bring these gifts, and the gifts are gold, frankincense, and myrrh, which stand for royalty. Gold is a symbol of royalty. Frankincense is a symbol of holiness and divinity, and myrrh is a semblance of bitterness, suffering, and affliction that would be to come for Christ. So the symbolism is of who he was, but also what was going to be happening in his life, which I think is so interesting. I'd love to even do a deeper dive maybe one day into those gifts. Spurgeon, you know, one of my favorite guys, says this: those who look for Jesus will see him. Those who truly see him will worship him. And those who worship him will consecrate their substance to him. In other words, they are going to set themselves apart. They are going to dedicate themselves to him, which really makes us ask these questions, like these magi, these wise men. They pursued their search. They did. They persevered. They pursued this king, and they persevered. They kept going until they, you know, I wonder, I'm this way. When I'm going somewhere that I don't know exactly where I'm going, even if I have my Maps app, and it just seems like I'm following the directions, but it seems like it's taking longer than it should, that I begin to question, maybe I'm going the wrong way. Maybe maybe I'm not supposed to be going here after all, or I'm just turning around. This is way too far. I wonder in my mind, did they ever think, I'm just going to turn around? This is really a long way, and I'm not even sure I'm going the right way. But they persevered. They followed the lead of the star, which means the star moved, and they had to keep track of it because it wasn't night the whole time. So they had to, I mean, isn't that interesting? You know, we see the Christmas pageant and we see them coming up, you know, in the Christmas pageants and the cantatas and dramas and things that we see at Christmas. They didn't come to the manger. They weren't there at the manger, but they are in every nativity scene, which is interesting. This is kind of a side note. My daughter, when she sets out our nativities every year, I love them. And I have, you know, some old ones, some new ones, some carved ones. I have all different kinds of nativity scenes. I love them. She always puts the wise men way away from the manger because she said they weren't there. So anyways, sorry, that was just a side note. But anyways, it was day and night and day and night and day and night and day and night and day and night. They had to just trust that star was going to show up and lead them to where they needed to go. And they had to know that star. They had to be a student of that star because, you know, there were other stars. So they had to follow the lead of the star. And they could not become discouraged. And they didn't become discouraged. Well, if they did, Scripture doesn't tell us. And if they did, it was short-lived because they got to see Jesus. And that was the most important thing. So do I really want to see him? Is a question that we should ask ourselves. Do we really want to see Jesus? And of course, we can immediately think of in heaven, salvation and eternity spent with him. Yes, of course, we're thinking of that. But then we're thinking, do I really want to see him every day? Do I want to experience him every single day? Do I? I can't answer that question. You'll have to answer that for yourself. Do I persevere in my search? Do I follow every lead? Do I become easily discouraged? Do I give up? I'm not feeling him today. Gosh, I haven't felt him for several weeks, so he's probably not really with me. And that's exactly what the enemy wants us to say. Oh, I told you he wasn't real. I told you couldn't have a relationship with him. You're too sinful. You did this, you did that, you did this, you did that. You're not smart enough. I told you couldn't do it. It's easy to become discouraged. I'm not saying it's not. But how badly do you want to see Jesus? How badly do I want to see Jesus? I'm asking myself the same thing today. I want to see him. I can tell you that. But do I get easily discouraged? Yes, I do. Sorry if that disappoints you as your facilitator for today. Yeah, I do get discouraged. It's easy to get discouraged. Do I follow every lead? I chase down a lot of leads. I chase them down. I really do. But discouragement does sometimes end or shorten my search because sometimes things just aren't happening fast enough. Sometimes, like I said, I'm not feeling him. But faith is not a feeling. We follow Christ by faith, not by sight and not by feeling. And I have to remind myself of that a lot. And a lot lately, it seems like. So let's encourage each other today to continue to pursue the King. And when we see him, let's truly worship him and let's consecrate ourselves to him. Y'all take care. See you next time on Read Through the Word.